Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about DTKO Knightfight issue 4, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Dan Mora, colours by Triona Farrell, with a little help from Alfred Wayne, and letters by Tom Napolitano. Bruce's final and hardest trial is here, as he has found himself in the perfect world. One where not only has he grown older, but he no longer needs to be Batman and Gotham is safe, all thanks to his son Damian. Bruce walks the streets of the clean, vibrant Gotham City with his son and grandson Alfred, thinking about how much Gotham has changed under his son's protection. He knows that he is aware this entire world is fake though, created by the Heart of Apocalypse to test him and also punish him for cheating in the Omega tournament by bringing a mother box with him. Williamson really does go for these opening pages, showing us a very happy Bruce Wayne and one who seems content with life, a life he gets to live with his grandson and actually be part of his life, watching anime, going out to the park with him, picking him up from school, all the stuff that Bruce wishes he got to do maybe with his own son and never got the chance to because of the lives they lived. This is what Bruce's endgame really has been, alongside saving Gotham. You know, have a family and be there for them, and I love that he knows it's not all real, he knows this is all fake, but desperately wants it to be real. Bruce remembers what the Heart told him and how he must fight his son and prove to it that he is worthy to be returned to the tournament and maybe even become King Omega. But to do all of that, he will need to kill his son or he will be punished. If you've been following my reviews on DCKO and its tie-ins, you'll know I've been talking a lot about the kind of meta line of the book, which is the Heart is just a spoiled fanboy, a fan who thinks comics should be all the heroes fighting and action and blood and carnage, and there's no place for, you know, these happier endings or these softer moments to happen. And that is what the Heart clearly doesn't want for Batman. It doesn't want that good ending for him. It doesn't want him to retire or anything. It wants the big fights. It wants the pain. It wants readers to get angry, since that generates it a good amount of Omega energy. It's such a great creative idea for what really has been the main villain of these books, and Joshua Williamson has been using it to great effect across this entire tie-in series. While Bruce and young Alfred spend time together, Damian knows the Heart is actually right, and Bruce will need to fight them, so he has spoken to the most brilliant minds of his world and gathered the Batman family to help Bruce with his problem. Damian and the others being so well aware that they aren't real and are part of some game is such a neat idea, since it throws an interesting wrench into the plan, as usually when said wrench is thrown into a plan, it's a hindrance for the hero, it's something that holds them back or they have to overcome. But this is actually something that is helping them, which is very different than what we usually get, and I quite like that. It's kind of like the reverse of a wrench being thrown into it. Bruce meets with the Bat family and they have all agreed to help Bruce return to the tournament, but for that they must play by the Heart's rules, and so they agree to let Bruce fight Damian. If everything goes well for Bruce, he will win the tournament and maybe he'll be able to make this world real instead of just a fantasy created by the Heart of Apocalypse. I had really wished that we had gotten more of the Bat family throughout this book, since so many of them felt like afterthoughts, and the small stuff we saw with them throughout was really quite cool. And even here it doesn't feel like it's enough though. I know we only had 4 issues and he had to tackle, you know, his 4 main sons, but they could have been incorporated a bit more throughout the books a little bit better. We do get a fun family montage here with Bruce going and meeting with all the family members, you know, training with them, having fun, mourning, celebrating, and everything in between. And once it's over, Bruce gets to work on his plan to defeat the Heart of Apocalypse. And amongst the light of the new Gotham his son has helped create, he makes something for Damian, a bat box, which is his take on the mother box, which he shows Alfred, telling his grandson that it is a gift for his father. There is a fantastic little moment here between Alfred and Bruce doesn't want to leave his grandson behind, since this is a world he's been striving towards ever since he put on the cowl, and it's a world he doesn't need to be Batman in. But I love this since it's Bruce who wants the change, he wants to evolve. It's kind of building off what we saw in Chip Zdarsky's Batman run before the Matt Fraction run, and what Matt Fraction has been doing as well in his run, which is a Batman who has learnt a lesson, learnt that he needs his family, he needs needs that support group. He's evolved out of being the loner and the person who immediately jumps into action and everything. He's got a kind of lighter side to him now, and I like that Williamson is honoring that and creating that here. However, we know the Heart does not want that because, oh, that's change, that's bad. Apparently change is bad. We just need him fighting bad guys. We need him fighting Joker, that sort of stuff. That's what the Heart wants, and that's what Bruce doesn't want, and I like that there is that back and forth between them. Alfred says something rather poignant here, as the family needs Bruce to be Batman since his father, his uncles, and his aunts are who they are because of him, and Bruce needs to see them grow up on his world into those type of people. Bruce agrees and gets ready to fight Damian, which I really like. He's not just wearing the Batman 666 costume we usually see a future Damian wear. He's got his own singular bat costume here developed by Dan Mora, and I like that it looks more sleek and streamlined and ninja-like. It kind of makes sense for him. I did dig the whole big coat thing he used to wear in Batman 666, but this costume looks really cool as well. The whole family, all in their own costumes, watch as Bruce and Damian begin their fight, and while they are pretty evenly matched, Bruce can tell Damian is holding back and isn't fighting to kill like he needs to be. But then, so is Bruce. Hours pass as the father and son keep on fighting, with the Heart demanding that Bruce kill Damian over and over again, and the constant verbal assaults from the Heart wane on Bruce and he becomes angry, which the Heart likes since it means he's ready to become King Omega. At this moment, Bruce sees his family and knows what he has to do, since it is not his choice after all. Damian slashes across his body, defeating Bruce, who knows he can't win this battle. So this is where the book actually takes a really neat twist, as the Heart stops the fight since Bruce has passed the test. The whole test of this being that Bruce needs to finally admit defeat. Now this surprised me, since the Heart has been all about the fights. You know, the fights and the views and the hits and everything it gets are what makes it want to do all of this. That's a big part of what the whole thing is. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, since, you know, if the Heart is a fanboy, they don't really like the whole Bat God stuff. You know, Batman coming in at the 12th hour to save everyone. You know, he has a contingency for everything. I don't like that. I fucking hate when that happens. So I could see the Heart not liking that as well. So the Heart doing all this to wear Bruce down and make him admit he is beaten is great. It's, you know, the test. That's the test, and I quite like that. With the test finally over, Bruce is taken by the Black Trindles of the Heart, yanked away from his family, but not before he can give Damian the Bat Box, telling Damian that he knows what to do with it. The Heart explains that all of this was to see if Bruce could admit defeat, and if he didn't, it would have just destroyed that world anyway and punished Bruce another way. Bruce doesn't listen, getting up and heading into a bright light, which he finds is a apocalyptic fire pit. The Heart tells him to commit to a leap of faith and faith in Darkseid, and he will re-enter the tournament and become King Omega. As Bruce readies for the jump, he remembers how he questioned if he was still needed as Batman, or if the city would be better off if his family took over from him. And Bruce now has his answer, as his family want him to wear the cowl and cape and need him to be Batman and not let them down. So there's this really interesting moment here where we see all four of the different worlds that Bruce visited across this series, along with their respective Batman. So Dick, Jason, Tim, and Damian, and all of them get the familiar ping of the Mother Box, or in this case the Bat Box. So like, does that mean they will all be coming over to the real Prime universe? They'll all be meeting up to try and come over, or some way? Will they be made real? I could see a path where Bruce wins the tournament and these Batman get willed into existence by him or something. It's just very interesting that, you know, that we get to see these different worlds and they all get a ping. So there's got to be something happening with these families. That'd be great if we get to experience more of these worlds, because that was one thing I kind of had a problem with each of the issues, which is I would like to see more of this world and more of how these Batman work in it, because we got to see them kind of in a bubble where they had to fight Bruce, so we didn't get to really see them out working, saving the city, doing what they do best, and I wish we got to see more of that, and maybe we will. Bruce makes up his mind and makes the leap into the fire, knowing that the Heart thinks it's won, but what it's really done is it wasn't testing him, and it never realized that. Instead, it was training him to win. So I guess this means Batman will be coming back into the tournament somehow. I think it was obvious that he would be coming back because, yeah, come on. We're going to have the Trinity face off against their absolute counterparts and then Darkseid. Of course we're going to have that, you know, we have to have that, but I'm interested to see how Williamson and then obviously Scott Snyder over in DCKO issue 4 bridges these two series together and how we get them all connecting up together. I'm really excited for that. DCKO Knightfight issue 4 was a fantastic conclusion to the series which kept on surprising me on every issue. The final fight, not born of anger or violence but rather love and hope, was a really interesting way to take things and end out the series, and it was great seeing Bruce evolve and Williamson build on what other writers like Zdarsky and Fraction have been doing with the character and how he's evolved to have this support group around him and actually rely on other people around him and become something more than just an action figure clacking together with another action figure in a giant arena. I'm interested to see Bruce's place in DCKO issue 4 and how Batman fits into the final couple of fights in the tournament and how he's going to take the place of someone or be an extra fighter against maybe the heroes. Very intriguing places to go with it, and hopefully we also get to see these Batman again. These were some really interesting takes on Tim, Jason, Damian, and Dick, and I'd like to see more of them. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.